Now we reach my favorite Lion King fanfiction. That is also my favorite Lion King fan project in general. I love it so much that if it was in a ranking of official Lion King projects, it would still be in the top 3. That's because it gave me all sorts of feelings. It had a major impact on me as a Lion King fan. It's bittersweet in the most beautiful way possible. Tears of sadness, tears of joy. They were both part of this experience. I have been thinking about it since the moment I finished reading it for the first time. And you might ask why. That's because it is a perfect Lion King story in my opinion. It has all the elements from the original Lion King and more. It has moments that are relaxing and makes you feel good, and there are tragic moments that will break your heart. And it has a great life lesson, just like the original Lion King movie. But here some characters, unlike that movie, are complex. Of course, it was the beautiful simplicity of those characters that made the movie special, but the added layers from this story makes the characters even more enjoyable. You might totally disagree with me here, and you have the right to, but to me the fact that the writer of this story gave some redeeming qualities to the villains and gave some evil elements to the heroes makes the story so much better. But don't worry, it is not one of those stories that claims the villain was actually good and the hero was actually evil. No, it is nowhere near that level. It just gave enough redeeming qualities to Scar and Zira that you would care about them, but still it was just enough to keep them the bad guys, and it gave enough flaws to Simba and the rest of the good guys so that they wouldn't be boring goody two shoes, but just the enough amount to still keep them the heroes, and also their questionable acts would be understandable. Now, what exactly is this fanfiction about? It is the missing link between the Lion King 1 and the Lion King 2. It is a prequel to the Lion King 2. It shows the events that led to the movie. Lion King 2 had many unanswered questions. For example, they never said where did exactly Zira and the Outlanders come from? Where were they during the final battle of Lion King 1? Did Scar really have mates and cubs? How did he treat them? Why is Simba so paranoid in the second movie? This story has the answer to some of these questions. It also connects 6 new adventures to the original timeline. Because yes, this story is an adaptation of the Kopa is dead theory. I have said before that even though I love the theory, I believe that 6 new adventures and Simba's pride happen in separate timelines. But this story tries to tie them together and keep them in the same timeline, and it does it beautifully. So if that interests you, go and read the fanfiction for yourself. Don't just assume it is bad only because it is a fan fiction. It is fan made, but it's better than a lot of official stuff I've seen. So from now on, I'm going to spoil everything about this fan fiction. So if you want to read it for yourself, go and do it and then come back to this video. I love this fan fiction, and in order to show my love for it, I need to tell every single important event in it and fanboy over it. So let's start. Zira will reach Pride Lands during the final battle of Lion King 1. She will witness Scar's fall, but she can't reach him because of the fire. Zira will see the hyenas around him and she will sigh out of relief because Shenzi, Banzai and Ed were childhood friends of them. But we know what will happen next. Hyenas will tear Scar's body apart. Zira will scream out of fear and Scar will cry out of pain. Zira can't do anything but watch her beloved Scar die brutally. When it rains, she approaches his corpse and cries. Vitani, Nuka and Kovu will approach them. Vitani and Nuka will also run to Scar and cry above his corpse. But not Kovu because he was too young to understand what has happened. Seeing her chill children's grief breaks her heart even more. But when she realizes everyone else is cheering in victory is the start of her descent into madness. She will vow to kill the hyenas for killing Scar and to kill Simba for not helping Scar despite seeing him in grave danger. But she will need a plan, so she pretends to be at peace with Simba. We will flash forward to the birth ceremony of Kopa, and since birth he was the kindest person you could ever imagine. Even though Kopa can't be more than a few days old here, his purity and kindness is plain to everyone. Kopa is the only character here who is 100% good, the literal incarnation of light. A Gary Sue, but somehow despite having no flaws, he is a very dear character. Since the moment he learned walking and talking, he had been a very heroic and selfless person. Despite his young age, he have been very wise and always helps everyone and makes peace every single day. He has turned the entirety of Pride Lands into his burden. He will make time to help everyone and as a result never has time for himself. He is like this because he wants to be ready to be a king as soon as possible, just in case Simba would have the same fate as Mufasa. He is the best big brother to Kiara and his dynamic with Vitani is great. He is really bad at hiding his love for her. Vitani knows it too well, which is a great excuse for her to tease him. Vitani is quite the troublemaker and I love it, but she is very heroic as she also helps Kopa save animals, especially when the hyenas are the ones to bring trouble. I love how she annoys them to no end and they can't stop her. Zira will talk to Scar's vision a few times. The story never said if it was his ghost or if it was just hallucination, but from my understanding it is a hallucination, because I don't think this version of Scar would make a plan that would make his daughter sad. Zira and her cubs pretend that they don't know the hyenas killed Scar because they still need them, so they continue being friendly to them. Nuka still calls Shenzi his aunt and Bonzai and Ed his uncles, and they refer to him as their favorite nephew, which is tragic. They used to be family. The hyenas will break a dam as Zira commanded them, which will lead to a flood, and yet again the animals are saved thanks to Kopa. Zira told Nuka to make sure his siblings would be out of the way of water. Nuka being Nuka failed at it. Vitani was with Kopa and Kopa said Vitani in a way that would hurt him. Zira would beat up Nuka for it, an act she immediately regretted, but she won't apologize for it. Simba will realize the hyenas broke the dam, the hyenas that were supposed to be at peace with them. He will send them to kill Zira for him, an act that will make Nala and Serabi question Simba. He will also question himself, wondering if he has fallen to the same darkness that Scar and Zira have descended into. When Shenzi, Bonzai and Ed reach the elephant graveyard, they realize Zira and the Outlanders have killed the rest of the hyenas, and now it's their turn. Shenzi is the last to die. The Outlanders will tear her apart just like how the hyenas tore Scar apart. But Zira would gain no satisfaction from it. She will capture Kopa and make it look like Vitani had something to do with it, which breaks Kopa's heart because this was after them admitting their love to each other. Zira didn't want to do this to her daughter, but she has descended to madness. She knows what she does is wrong and yet she continues to do so. Zira tells Vitani that if she wants Kopa to leave, she should go to Pride Rock and tell Simba they have Kopa. Kopa will wake up in a cage made out of bones. Zira next to him. She will tell him that revenge is what she wants. When Kopa tells Zira that Scar was evil, her answer makes him see Zira in a different way. He thought her to be heartless, but now she just sees a broken lioness. With his compassion, he makes Zira talk about Scar, which will lead to my favorite part of this fanfiction. We see Scar as a lovely family man, and he is amazing. He's such a bad influence on his cubs, and yet he does it in such a lovely way. He's such a bad person, and yet he manages to be a good father in his own way. Despite the fact that he is not really giving a good life lesson to them, he is always kind to his kids. It's funny. I feel like during that heartwarming Mufasa and Simba moment, he was there and heard what Mufasa said, but he doesn't know the details because he wasn't paying enough attention. He tries to say the same things to his cubs that Mufasa said to Simba, but he will give his own twist to it. It's obvious he has no idea what he is talking about, but he manages to keep the charisma. I mean, just pause the video and read it for yourself. Tell me it is not one of the funniest things ever. Then we see Scar and Zira playing with Nuka and Vitani, and it's the most heartwarming thing ever. After a while, Kovu will be born. Both he and Vitani are adopted cubs of Scar and Zira. Zira says that a drought happened and all the other problems happened because of it. But everyone blamed Scar for it, although he was trying his best. When Scar chooses Kovu to be his heir, Nuka and Vitani would do a dangerous thing to prove their worth to Scar. That's when Scar will have a heart-to-heart with them. He will say stuff that will even shock himself. He thought he loved himself the most, but when he sees his cubs in tears, he realizes that he loves them more than himself. He never thought he would say this, but to him, they matter more than being a king. It's a challenge for him to say it without choking up. It's a challenge for me to read this part without choking up. He tells them that he never saw them as unworthy. He tells Nuka that he chose Kovu to become his heir in order to protect Nuka. If Nuka was the heir, then he would be a target, and he knows Nuka is even weaker than him. Making Nuka his successor would get his beloved Nuka killed. Now Scar knows why Mufasa rushed to the gorge to save Simba from the stampede. An act that looked ridiculous to him now makes so much sense. He now fully realizes what it means to be a father. Now he knows if Nuka or Vitani or Kovu, if any of them were in danger, just like Mufasa, he will jump into danger to save them. Now he will actually take it seriously and give them a good life lesson. He will do a Mufasa again, but this time he truly means it. He will say something similar to what Mufasa told Simba about the stars, but an even better version of it. He tells them that his mother told him that the stars aren't just the great kings of the past, because the stars are endless and there are not as many kings as the stars. The stars are actually anyone who reaches greatness in life. You don't have to be loyal to become a star. You should just do your best. Scar will say, "One day I will guide you to your greatness, just as my mother did me." I feel like Scar already knows he never reached greatness because of killing his brother. I feel like this version of Scar is cursing himself for committing that sin. But still, he truly means it. He truly loves his cubs and wants to make sure they won't make the same mistakes as him. Later, when Scar was away making peace, their cubs fall ill. Zira will take them away from the Pride Lands to find a cure. She would ask Serabi and Serafino to tell Scar before she leaves, but they would lie to Scar and tell him that Zira has abandoned him. That's when Scar completely gives up and becomes the fiend Simba will meet as an adult. Scar will die thinking Zira's love for him was nothing but a lie. This story is seemingly just a part of a series of fanfictions, but I never got the opportunity to read them. But they are apparently much darker than this one. Seemingly Serabi has done another horrible thing that Zira can't even couldn't bear to say it, an act so bad that could turn Kopa against his family, an act that can only be read in the other stories of the series. Now Zira is completely broken, sobbing endlessly, forgetting Kopa is there. Kopa would now realize these people who he was told that were monsters were just hurt people. Again he shows compassion, so Zira tells Kopa that Vitani does in fact love him and she had nothing to do with his capturing, which makes Kopa happy. He knows there might not be a tomorrow for him, and yet he begs Zira to let go of it for the sake of her children. There is no doubt she loves her cubs, but she loves Scar more than anything else, and this love could doom her remaining family members. Now, before I reach the final chapter of this fanfiction, I should mention that the original version of this story alongside the other stories of the series are lost media. All the accounts of the writer of this story are deleted. That's why I never could read the stories of this series. And even right now I am reading the story from a downloaded copy of it from the internet. I believe this story comes from fanfiction.net, but I read it in Wattpad and I don't know if it was the Wattpad account of the same person or if it was someone pretending. The ending of that version was darker than this copy, and I actually prefer the darker one. I will say my reason at the end. Simba, Nala and Vitani reach the elephant graveyard. Nuka tells them where Zira and Kopa are. Simba and Nala go, but Nuka stops Vitani. Simba tells Zira to free Kopa. He admits that he let Scar die even though he could save him. He wants him and Zira to have a duel. Zira can have her revenge if she can beat Simba in a one-on-one. But Zira believes that death wouldn't satisfy her. She wants Simba to wish for death instead. She grabs Kopa and drags him over the edge. While Kopa is dangling, down the cliffs Nuka and Vitani are giving each other death glares. Vitani wants to help Kopa, but Nuka says Zira told him that if she goes up there, Kopa will die at that exact moment. Nuka doesn't want Kopa's death because that would break Vitani's heart, so he will engage in a battle to stop Vitani. Simba and Nala beg Zira, telling her that they will give her anything, but Zira only wants one thing. She wants her husband back. She wants the father of her cubs back. Kopa is afraid, but he still shows compassion for Zira. She knows what she is doing is wrong. She knows it won't bring Scar back. Her eyes filled with regret, and yet she chooses to do the wrong thing. She throws Kopa off the cliff. Simba will fight Zira so that Nala could save Kopa without interruption. Zira is 100% evil mode now. She asks Simba if he would like to even the odds. Simba says he won't go near her family because he isn't like her. Only she is his target. They will engage in combat. While Nala is running to save Kopa, the Outlanders attack her. Nala impressively defeats all the lionesses. Nuka is no warrior, but Vitani is still a cub, so they are evenly matched. After a while, both of them are hurt bad. Nuka takes a look at Vitani. Just like him, her body full of injuries. He feels guilty. He can't harm his little sister more than this, so he lets Vitani go, but warns her that she won't like what she may see. Kopa is hanging from a cliff. Nala trying to save him. Kopa realizes that the cliff isn't strong enough to hold both of them. If Nala tries to save Kopa, they will both fall to their death. So Kopa decides to sacrifice himself. His mother would always save him, and now it is his turn to save her. Kopa tells her not to blame herself, and he will thank her for everything, and then he will let go, falling into the darkness while Nala screams his name. Simba will knock Zira out. He will extract his claws, ready to kill her, but he will remember Vitani, so he will stop. Vitani is the first to find Kopa's lifeless body, then Nolo and then Simba. Once again Vitani breaks down, first her father and now her love. Simba is in denial. He expected that just like his father, one day he may die to save his son. But he never thought it would be the other way around. Nuka takes Vitani away, thinking that Simba will kill Zira now. Zira wakes up sharing the same thought. When she sees Kopa's lifeless body, she doesn't feel satisfied, only hatred for herself. She accepts her punishment, waiting for Simba to finish her off. But Simba has another plan. Just like what Zira did to him, he will make Zira wish for death instead of simply killing her. He will banish Zira, her cubs, and her pride. Now Zira is begging, asking Simba to just kill her, but Simba won't have it. He knows her cubs are innocent. He knows Vitani did all she could to save Kopa. He knows his father would never do this cruel act. But he tells himself that he is nowhere near as good of a person as Mufasa was. He knows what he is doing right now is evil, and yet he chooses to punish the innocent alongside the guilty. He will send Zira's cubs away, knowing they would starve to death. Now the Outlanders have taken refuge in the termite hill. Zira sees her daughter crying her heart out, and now she fully regrets her actions. Now her daughter is feeling the same pain she felt when Scar died. She made sure her daughter would end up having the same fate as her, and now she regrets it. She knows she will lose her daughter if she tells her the truth, so she lies to Vitani, telling her that she just wanted to use Kopa as a bait. Her only target was Simba, but he didn't trust her and attacked her while she was holding Kopa, sending him down the cliff. Vitani's sadness now turns into rage, vowing she would make Simba pay for it. Now Zira knows she can no longer look at her own reflection with anything other than disgust. Vitani's vengeful face reminds Zira of herself, which horrifies her. After Kopa's memorial, Simba, Nala, and Serabi start blaming themselves. Serabi shouts to the sky, asking the kings of the past why they punish everyone else instead of her. She has committed some sins before this story that we weren't told here, and she believes all these nightmares are the result of her mistakes. Now here we will see the big change between this version of the story and the version I read first time. There the story would end in agony. Simba, Nolo, and Serabi roaring with grief and self-hatred, believing that Kopa has paid for their sins. Again, sins that most of them weren't committed in this story. Zira would see a vision of Kovu and Vitani's biological mother, a lioness she has probably killed. She will mock Zira for her acts, sarcastically calling Zira mother of the year when she lies to Vitani. Then she will keep asking Zira who is a monster. The vision will turn into a reflection of Zira, and it continues asking the same question. In the end, Zira will say, I am a monster. But in this version of the story, the ending is bittersweet. Kopa's spirit shows up and will teach his family the same lessons they will learn at the end of Lion King 2. His spirit also visits Vitani, telling her that it will be okay one day. I personally like the darker ending because in that case this story would work better as a prequel to Simba's pride. What would the point of learning the whole we are one thing be if Kopa had already told them about it here? The bittersweet ending looks forced to me, as if the writer just edited the ending after seeing some negative reactions to the dark ending. But I say the dark ending has to happen so that the ending of Lion King 2 would have a meaning meaning. This story tries to reach forgiveness. It tries to show how dangerous hatred is, and that vengeance will do nothing but create a ring of revenge. A cycle that if we don't stop it, it will destroy everything in the end. This fanfiction is a masterpiece because not only it teaches an important lesson, not only it is an interesting take on Lion King 1, but also because it makes Lion King 2 an even better movie. It is my favorite Lion King fan project because I have wondered about it the most. The night I finished reading it as a teenager a few years ago, I was thinking about it instead of sleeping. There were some Lion King fanfictions that made me sad, but this one is my favorite because it is the only one that made me cry.